Hello, my name is Nathan Popple and I'm your host on the Accessible Leeds show. Welcome to you all and thanks for joining me. www.accessibleleeds.com is a website which informs people with disabilities where the best and worst places for accessibility are in the city of Leeds. I started the website a couple of years ago after not being able to access a bowling alley in Leeds because of the steep stairs. This podcast is to look at some of these issues in greater detail and gives listeners the opportunity to have their say as well, and to ask big questions. This is the first ever episode of the Accessible Leeds show and we hope to bring you more. Coming up later we'll be asking you, the big question, and our game shop, or drop, will be towards the end of the show. But first we have the big talk.
The Big Talk.
The topic of this show's big talk is accessibility to cinemas in Leeds. Most people like good movies, but does everybody really get the same chance to experience them in the same way? I talk in full about this issue as it affects most wheelchair users like myself. My support worker and I sat on the front row, close up to the screen, at both the View Cinema in the Leeds Light and the new Everyman Cinema in the Trinity Centre. These were the only spaces for wheelchairs at both cinemas. I had to leave both cinemas early on, as viewing hurt my neck. Speaking to my able-bodied friends, they would never choose the front row of any cinema unless they were very late to a show. I don't know anybody who would choose to sit at the front. My friends agree that it does hurt the neck being close up and it is difficult to see the whole screen. At both cinemas I complained, as there was no other choice to sit further back where it would be more comfortable. I did however get my money back, both times. The managers at both cinemas also said people have complained often about the position of accessible spaces. It makes you wonder why nothing is done about it. Everyman Cinema in the Trinity Centre is a brand new cinema, so how was this tolerated when the designs were drawn up, when it seems to be such an apparent and common problem? Not all cinemas in Leeds have this problem. For example, I like the View Cinema at Kirkstall. The accessible spaces are halfway between the front and the back of the cinema, but also to the side near the exit, which is great for getting to the bathroom, if needed. Good for fire or other emergencies too. I thought View as a brand is good, however I'm surprised the accessibility is not the same in all their theatres. There are two View cinemas in Leeds, one at the Light and the other in Kirkstall, outside of the centre. However, one has good accessibility and the other one hasn't. So, what's the answer to this then? In the short term, find your best accessible cinema nearest to you. In the long term, cinemas should learn to adapt and improve. Guidelines should be set for a good level of accessibility in all cinemas, with no exception. I asked people for their opinions about this, on Facebook and Twitter. Colin, from Leeds said about Everyman Cinema, "Hi Nathan, totally agree. I went last week with my niece and was very disappointed. We only stayed 5 minutes and got refunds, but they were very helpful and apologetic. This is now the second cinema in the Leeds city centre that is totally unsuitable for wheelchair users. I always go to the Showcase Cinema at Birstall. It is by far the best I have been to for wheelchair accessibility, so long as you stay away from screens 1 and 8 as these are very small, but the other 14 screens are brilliant." Thank you, Colin. Helena wrote on Facebook, "From personal experience on physical accessibility, the View on Kirkstall Road is mostly good for wheelchairs, and the Hyde Park Picture House is alright, and my favourite cinema, though they don't have an accessible toilet." Helena also mentions a scheme that I did not know about. She said, "If you're talking about accessibility in Leeds cinemas, it might be worth mentioning the Cinema Exhibitors Scheme. A national yearly card that's free, except for a small processing cost, to anyone with a disability, which allows their companion to get a free ticket. The main cinemas, Odeon, View, Cineworld, are signed up to it, and in Leeds, the Hyde Park Picture House and some other independents are also members." Thank you, Helena. There is a really good report on cinema accessibility from a team called Trailblazers. It is really detailed and covers all areas of accessibility. The major cinema chains do not score highly in the report. However, the smaller independent cinemas seem to be a lot better. I really recommend that you all read the report by Trailblazers. It can be found on the muscular dystrophy website www.muscular-dystrophy.org. And I will put a link up on Facebook and Twitter. It is now time to open our store. This is Shop or Drop.
Shop or Drop!
Yes. Leeds has some crazy shop names, but can you tell which shop name in the list that I will read out is not a real shop in Leeds but has been made up by myself? So, as I said, which of these are real Leeds shops and which one should we drop? Answers please on Twitter or Facebook and I will draw a winner and announce your name on the next show. It's just a bit of fun to see how well you know your city. Here we go. Juju Gifts. Yum Yum Beads. Miss Chocolate. Mad Elizabeth Village. Teddy and Company. Centrus Unico. Gobstoppers. Yo Sushi. Folly Folly. I will repeat the list. Which name is not a real shop in Leeds? Juju Gifts. Yum Yum Beads. Miss Chocolate. Mad Elizabeth Village. Teddy and Company. Centrus Unico. Gobstoppers. Yo Sushi. Folly Folly. Good luck everybody. I think it's time for me now to ask you the big question.
The big question.
The big question is actually 2 questions for this first show. Yes, the big questions. With your answers, will be the big talk for the next edition of the Accessible Leeds show. The first big question is about the excellent changing places bathroom facilities, which you may know are national as well as there being several dotted around Leeds. My question to you is there still room for improvement in these facilities? If you're not sure exactly what I'm referring to, then please visit their website to avoid confusion. www.changing-places.org. I am not expecting a big response on this, as they are brilliant facilities for people who are unable to use regular disabled toilets due to their physical needs. However, I did find a problem recently, which I will reveal to you in the next show. The second big question I am asking you for my next show is about accessible green spaces in and around Leeds. As a big city, we are still fortunate enough to have amazing countryside and parks within easy reach. Could you please let me know which are the best accessible green spaces? For example, which green spaces have been adapted with good paths for wheelchairs? Also, anywhere there is even disabled car parking near to the green space. I will ask the big questions again on Facebook and Twitter, and also on the website www.accessibleleeds.com. You can contact me on Twitter. My address is @accessibleleeds. My Facebook page is facebook.com/accessibleleeds. I really would appreciate as much help from you as possible to make the next podcast a success. Thank you for your help on this first show. Thank you all for listening and I hope you'll visit me again for the next one. I have been Nathan Popple. Goodbye and see you soon.